Good afternoon to all. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll start. Okay. So from today, we'll start a new chapter, that is economic operation of power system. Okay. Now, this particular topic, it is under module number 4. Okay. We have some topics, or some topics I will not say. It is the numerical problem. It is left with the fault analysis. We'll do those things after some time. And in the meantime, we'll start this chapter, that is economic operation of power system, or it is also known as the economic load dispatch. Now, prior to start this particular module, I will give you the brief introduction of the economic load dispatch. Now, you know that there are n number of power plants it is operating, and it is basically interconnected. Okay, so our power system, it is interconnected power system. First of all, we have to know that this is interconnected. Okay, now when this system is interconnected, so there are generators there are generators, there are transmission line, and there are loads. So basically, we need to satisfy our connected loads. So the load has to be satisfied. Okay. So we'll supply this load. We'll supply this load. Power will be supplied by
generating station.
So that means the generators, they are supposed to supply this power. Okay. Now, when we have a system with, let us say, n number of generators, and we have a m number of loads. So let us say n number of generators are there, and connected load is m numbers. So each generator, what will be the share of generation? Okay. So let us say at any instant we have a, let us say, 2000 megawatt generation. Okay, 2000 megawatt. This is the load, connected load. Now you have a generator capacity is, let us say, 3000 megawatt. This is your generation capacity. This is the total generation capacity. Now, out of this total 3000 megawatt, what should be the share of each generator? Can anyone tell how to distribute? Let us say you have the capacity of each generator is 500 megawatt, and we have a 6 number of generators. Should we share all the loads equally, or if not, what should be the share of each generator? Okay. Have you got my point? Have you got this? What is my point? Yes or no?
So no, sir.
Okay, I will just more. I will elaborate more, so then you will understand. We have let us say, 6 number of generators connected. Each generator is having capacity 500 megawatt. Now we have a 2000 megawatt load in the system. So this 2000 megawatt load has to be satisfied. Okay, so connected load is 2000, and there are 6 generators. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let us say this is 6. And each generator, their capacities are, let us say, 500 megawatt. That means it can, maximum it can supply 500 megawatt. Okay, but your load is, total load is 2000 megawatt. This total load is 2000 megawatt. Now, should we go for something, let us say this is 400, this is 100, this is 500, this is 400, this is 100, this is 500. should we go for like that, or let us say no, it is, I think it is more than that. It should be, yes, this is 5,000, no, this is 500. Okay. Okay, should we have this kind of distribution, or should we have something? This is 1,000, 100, this is 400, this is 100, this is 500. Okay, this is 400, this is 500. So there will be n number of combination. Which combination we'll choose? That means the generating station, they are supposed to generate the power. But the generating station, they will also know that how much power they are supposed to generate. Okay, so who will give this instruction, or what should be the let us say methods to allocate this particular generation among the generators? Okay, so this is the problem. Have you understood the problem? Then we'll proceed.
Yes, sir.
So the problem is we have a generators, we have the connected load, but we don't know the method how to allocate the generation of each generator, but we know the total load. So there should be some methodology by which we can allocate the generation. There is another possibility. Let us say each generator will share 400 megawatt equally, but that is not feasible. Equally, if we share, that is not possible, or that is not feasible. We'll see that when we'll do the numerical problems, we'll understand that this equal sharing is not a feasible solution. Okay, because what is the problem? Equally you can share, but the problem will be what? Problem is the cost. Problem is the cost, because ultimately when each generator will generate the electrical power, there are so many associated costs are involved, because there will be fuel cost, there will be labor cost, there will be let us say there will be maintenance cost, so many other costs are there, so which will come into the picture. So when we have an equal sharing of this particular load, that time we'll see the cost of operation of the system will increase. If we follow some particular methodology by which we can allocate the generation among the generating units, so in that case we can we'll be able to understand that the system will be more efficient and the overall cost of operation will be minimal. Now here we are going to do the economic load dispatch. Mainly our objective here, it is the basically economic operation. The title is economic operation of power system, or we can say, or it is known as economic load dispatch. Okay, so the point is, so what is the important term here? Which term is more important here? Anyone can tell? Anyone?
Load dispatch.
Yes. This is one term, load dispatch. Another important term is your economic. So load dispatch means we are supposed to dispatch the load from the generator, but that should be done economically. So economically, when this term is coming into the picture, that time we have to understand that economic means we try to minimize the cost of operation. So our basic objective will be minimize the cost of operation. That is our primary focus. So we should not adopt the methodology which will actually yield to the more cost of operation or higher amount of cost of operation. But here we should adopt a methodology which will be basically your minimum cost of operation should be there. Okay, so now we'll go back to the slide and we'll understand that what is this economic load dispatch, the basic concept. Now, the planning, operation, and control of interconnected power system presents a variety of challenging problems. So we will understand that. See, till now, whatever you have done, in the basic power system 1, that was basically basics of the power system. Now, here you will enter the operation part. Okay, how the power system is actually operating. Okay, so there are so many topics are there. Under that, there are we'll discuss that how the power system will operate. An important problem in this area is the economic operation of the system, which means that every step in planning, scheduling, and operation of the system, unit-wise, plant-wise, and interconnection-wise must be optimal, leading to absolute economy. So that means we are actually interested for the economy, that is the economic operation of the system, economic operation of the load dispatch. So everything we are talking, that is in terms of money, that is the cost. So our objective is to minimize the cost of operation. Now, first we have to know that what are the characteristics of the steam power plant. Okay, so you have to understand that what are the basic characteristics of the steam plant. So in analyzing the economics of operation of the thermal system, modeling of input-output characteristic assumes significance. That means we need to understand how the let us say any thermal power plant it will operate. Their input-output characteristic is, what is the input-output characteristic? So for this purpose, a single unit comprising of boiler, turbine, and generator may be considered. So as a whole, when we are considering any power plant, and that too is a thermal power plant, we have to consider the three components or the three major equipments. One is the boiler, which is a mechanical device. Turbine, it is another mechanical device. And then third component is the electrical part, that is the generator. So normally the mechanical engineering student and the electrical engineering student, both of them will know the function of the boiler, turbine, and the generator, because this generator, it is coupled with the turbine. So boiler is, so what is the function of the boiler? Anyone can share? What is the function of the boiler?
Burning of coal.
Convert the water into steam.
I mean, class achi, pore kotha bolchi. So the function of the boiler is to
Burning of coal
burning of,
and convert it into heat.
correct. So heat will be supplied by this particular boiler. Okay, so basically and finally water is heated here actually. So we are getting the heat from the your coal. Okay, coal is burned, and after that heat is injected into the boiler. So boiler is basically, within that there will be a let us say water will be there. So water tubes, within that water tubes, what will happen? We'll heat those waters. So when we heat that water, so what will be the status of that water?
Rotate the turbine.
So water will be converted to steam. Water will be, it will be converted into steam. Okay, and that steam will be at super saturated condition. You have to keep in mind the steam which will enter into the turbine, that will be at super saturated condition. If it is not super saturated, so what will happen? The turbine blades becomes corroded. So corrosion will take place. So to remove corrosion, we need to have this steam should be at super saturated condition. So what will happen when we have a steam and that is injected into the turbine? So it will be injected at a very high pressure. So when that high pressure steam will be injected into the turbine blade, so turbine blade will rotate. So turbine blade will be, because that will be a huge pressure will be there. The huge pressure, and because of that, the turbine blade gets rotated. So when the turbine blade gets rotated, what will happen? The whole shaft gets rotated. When the whole shaft gets rotated, so what will happen? The generator, which is coupled with the turbine, that shaft will also rotate. So finally, we'll have an induced EMF at the terminals of the generator. And because of that, we'll be able to get the electrical power. That is the basically simple thought how the electrical power is generated. This point is clear. How this, what is the function of boiler, turbine, and generator? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the unit has to supply power to the local needs for the auxiliaries in the station. This latter component may be around 2 to 5%. See, the individual unit, the generator will generate power, and that generated power is again reused in the auxiliary components of the power station. See, power station, there are so many pumps. If you have visited any generating station, you can see there are so many pumps are there, motors are there, so that is operating. So those motors and power, these pumps, they are getting power, electrical power from the locally. Locally means the power which is generated locally from the generator. Okay, so that power is known as the auxiliary power. So that auxiliary power has to be satisfied, and this power is very small component. It is 2 to 5% of the total generated power. Now, the station auxiliaries include boiler feed pumps, condenser circulating water pumps, fans, etc. So there are so many auxiliaries are there. So that will actually cater this particular the power. Now, scheduling is the process of allocating generation among various operating generating units. The cost-effective mode of generation allocation among the various units. This can also be termed as optimal operation. So finally, the generation which is coming into the system, okay, or it is injected into the system, that should be generated effectively and economically. So then we can say that our system is operating under optimal operation. The analytical solution proposed in general for optimal operation depends on the incremental cost concept. So we'll try to understand what is incremental cost, okay? Because the whatever optimal operation will do, okay? So there should be the basically which one we try to minimize, which component of the whole system we try to minimize. Our objective is to minimize what?
Cost.
Cost. So cost of operation we are trying to minimize. Now cost of operation, again, when we are trying to minimize, we have to see the what is their incremental cost. See, you have done the let us say, I will just discuss this thing in your maxima minima. You have discussed, you have studied already in class 11 or 12. If let us say a function is fx is there, so function will be maximum when dfx by dx should be equal to 0. Okay, so then we can tell that we can from that we can calculate the maximum or minimum value. We can calculate the value of x, and correspondingly that x will be substituted here. So we'll get the value of the maximum or minimum value of that particular function. So here also same thing. The cost is the function. Your c is the cost. So we need to calculate what is the incremental cost. Incremental cost means it is with respect to the generated power. Power is the pi. Pi means I is 1 to n. There are n number of plants are there. So with respect to your generating station power, what is the incremental cost? So incremental cost is basically your dc by dpi. This is your incremental cost. But we'll know in detail. We'll see that thing. So here you see that it is a schematic diagram. That is the whole system. There is the fuel is actually entered into this boiler, and then finally we'll get the output. Heat is the output. Now, when heat is the input to the turbine, so within this turbine, what will happen? It is injected into the turbine shaft. Now the turbine shaft gets rotated, and which is actually delivering the mechanical power. So that mechanical power is again injected to the generator. So mechanical power is the input to the generator, and we'll get the electrical output. So this is the basically how the system will operate. So how we are actually getting the electrical power. Now next is the input output curve. Now we need to know that what is the input output curve of any power station. What is the output from any power station? What is the output? Anyone can guess? What is the output of any electrical power station? Generating station, let us.
The power.
So power generated. Power generated is the output. Now what is the input? What is the input? Input will be what? What we are giving and what we are getting. That is the main thing. So input is the basically your how much?
So coil we are providing.
Huh? What is that? Fuel. Fuel is your input or no?
Yes, sir.
So fuel is the input. So fuel is the input. So the unit of that fuel is kilocalorie per hour. So if we plot the input versus output characteristic, so the nature of the characteristic, it is continuously increasing. Now here we have a minimum point and there is a maximum point. So why there is a minimum and maximum? See, there is a limit on the in the boiler. So if you are generating more and more electrical power from a particular generating station, so there is a capacity of the boiler. If you generate more than that, the boiler gets overheated. Okay, and there is that boiler cannot sustain that amount of heat. So there is a maximum capacity of generation. Similarly, the minimum capacity of there is some minimum capacity of the boiler. If you go below that, then what will happen? The boiler cannot sustain the flame. The boiler has some flame, so that flame cannot be sustained. So that's why any power station which will operate between some minimum value and maximum value. This is the reason why any power station should have a minimum generation capacity and maximum generation capacity. So the characteristic of this particular curve, it is continuously increasing in nature. It is a parabolic nature curve. Now the input can be in kilocalories per hour and the output may be in kilowatt or it may be megawatt, because it is a power station. So we'll normally express in terms of megawatt. Now, steam turbine generating unit characteristic may have minimum and maximum limits in the operation. So why this minimum and why this maximum? I have discussed that thing. Because of the boiler capacity, we need to have this particular limit. Now, next is the incremental heat rate characteristic. Incremental heat rate characteristic, that is basically we need to have some different. Incremental means what? It is the rate. It is the rate. So rate means what? It is some kind of differentiation is there, some kind of derivatives. So derivative means here what will be the derivative? It is differentiation with respect to the input divided by differentiation with respect to the output. So basically D of input by D of output is the incremental fuel rate, or it is also known as the heat rate. So if you basically your fuel input curve is this one. So if you differentiate this curve, you will get this kind of curve where the incremental fuel rate it is basically between some minimum generation and it is some maximum generation. So if anywhere it is asked that what is the input output characteristic of a thermal power plant, so you have to draw this characteristic. So this is between some minimum and this is some maximum. And the x-axis we have the power output, that is P in megawatt. And on in the x-axis, we have the incremental fuel rate. Incremental fuel rate means input is your kilocalorie, and output is your megawatt hour. Okay, so that is basically your output. Now, next is the incremental fuel cost characteristic. Okay, the incremental. So here is what is the difference? I will say this is the incremental fuel rate. It is a fuel rate. Now, from this fuel rate, we need to convert fuel rate in terms of cost. So what is the unit of this incremental fuel rate? We'll come to the board. What is the unit of incremental fuel rate? What is the unit? It is kilocalorie. What is the unit? Per megawatt hour. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So kilocalorie per megawatt hour. Now we need to get the cost. So how to get it? How to get it? So we need to have the cost of the fuel. So cost of the fuel. What is the unit of the cost of the fuel? What is the unit of cost of fuel? It is rupees per kilocalorie. So incremental fuel cost. That previous one, it was rate. So this is equal to, let us say this is IFR and this is cost of fuel is COF, cost of fuel. So this is incremental fuel cost is basically your IFC. This is equal to IFR into COF. So how we'll get? So this is kilocalorie divided by megawatt hour into rupees per kilocalorie. So we'll get the unit incremental cost. This is rupees per megawatt hour. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt on this part? Okay. So the nature of the characteristic remains same, but here the incremental fuel cost, it is coming rupees per megawatt hour, and power output is in your x-axis. So the nature of the characteristic is same. It is basically some scalar multiplication. That's why the characteristic does not change, but only the unit of the y-axis it will change. So the incremental fuel rate in kilocalorie per kilowatt hour or megawatt hour can be multiplied by the cost of fuel in terms of rupees per kilocalorie. In any case, the ordinates will be rupees per kilowatt hour or rupees per megawatt hour. So that we have seen. So how to derive the incremental fuel cost from the incremental fuel rate that is known to us. Okay. Now next is the heat rate characteristic. Heat rate characteristic, it is basically along the x-axis we have the power output, and along the y-axis we have the heat rate. So heat rate is kilocalorie per megawatt hour. So it is between some minimum generation and the maximum generation, and the nature of the car will be, it is continuously decreasing in nature. Now next is the incremental production cost characteristic. So we'll come to the point now, what is the incremental production cost, that we are going to determine. So the production cost of the power generated actually depends on several items such as fuel cost, labor charges, cost of items such as oil, water and other supplies needed, and also the cost of the maintenance. So there are several components of the cost. Okay, several components of the cost. So those components of the cost is actually that has to be included in the operation. So it is well known that in thermal generation, the fuel cost is far the largest cost head and is directly related to the power generator. So major component of the power station, we have to understand that major component of the power station, that is the basically cost of the fuel. Even the other charges, that is the additional running expenses, that is more or less related to the amount of generation. So the other component, maybe the cost of your cost of fuel is the major head, and other than that, there is so many salary of the employees, cost of maintenance, cost of oil, water. Okay, so there are labor costs. So those things are other costs are there, but those components are comparatively, it is less compared with the fuel cost. Okay, so thus it is a simple practical proposition to assume that all the additional cost as a fixed percentage of the incremental fuel cost. So that particular percentage will be comparatively less. The sum of the incremental fuel cost and other incremental running expenses is called the incremental production cost. So we know what is the incremental fuel cost. Just now we have discussed. Now, other than this incremental fuel cost, we have some incremental running expenses. So there is some running expenses. So together, if you add the incremental fuel cost with the incremental running expenses, you will get the incremental production cost. So incremental production cost, it is summation of incremental fuel cost plus incremental running expenses. Now the large turbine generator units may have several steam admission valves which are opened in a sequence to meet the increasing steam demand. The input-output characteristic for such a unit with two valves may show discontinuity. See, in the large power station, there are so many valves are there because we need to control the steam. Steam has to be controlled. Now, when we have to control the steam, who will control this? The steam opening valves. There are so many steam opening valves are there. So if you are not controlling the steam opening valves, so what will happen? Continuously the steam will be injected into the turbine blade. So if you are allowing more and more steam, so what will happen? Who can tell this answer? Let us say steam valves, why we should control the steam valve? What is the necessity? What is the necessity? Please tell me. If we are not controlling the steam valve, so what will happen actually? Anyone?
So boiler get damaged.
Boiler get damaged, but that is because why? Because anyway you have the let us say steam is injected into the boiler, but if you are not controlling the steam, when you are actually controlling the steam, what will be the output? The speed will change. So let us understand this thing. Why we are when we are controlling this steam. So I will go to the board. So when we are controlling this steam, so controlling steam, it actually affects your speed of turbine. So if your speed of turbine is controlled, then what will happen? Speed of alternator will be controlled. So speed of alternator is controlled means you can control the frequency of alternator. Yes or no? Because they are coupled. All they are coupled. This particular thing, have you understood? Yes or no?
Sir, repeat again, sir.
So if you are controlling steam, so basically what will happen? The steam will be injected into this way, let us say, and you have a, let us say, turbine. Here, this is a turbine. Okay. Now, and there is a turbine shaft. This is a turbine shaft, and this is coupled with the generator. Okay. You have a generator, and this is the final output from the generator. This is the final output. Okay, from the generator. This is your turbine, and this is your generator. So what will happen? If you are controlling the steam input, this is your steam. So more steam means more force. So shaft will be rotated faster. More steam, speed will be more. So more speed means the speed of the turbine will increase. Speed of the turbine will increase means what will happen? This shaft and this shaft is coupled. Okay. If it is rotating more faster, this will also rotate more faster. Okay. So the speed of the alternator will be also more. So if the speed of the alternator is more, the frequency of the alternator will be also more. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Because why the speed and frequency? Omega equal to 2 pi f. If your omega is more, so f will be also more. That is the main case. Omega and frequency directly proportional. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, why we need to control this steam? Because if we allow more steam, now I will discuss one more thing. If you allow more steam, so what will happen? If you allow more steam, means you are actually spending more fuel. So spending more fuel means what will happen? Cost of fuel will increase. So cost of fuel will increase means the cost of operation will increase. So suppose you don't require, let us say, the steam to be injected at a particular time when the load is less. So that time we have to inject less amount of steam. So less amount of steam, if you allow, so what will happen? That it will ultimately save your cost. This point is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, so there are many valves are there. The power station, if you see, there are many valves. So those valves are actually operated with the help of some pumping devices. So that will actually that will open or close depending upon the type of load. So here you see the nature of the curve. It is something like this. It is here when the valve will operate. So this is a point of discontinuity. See, you are actually studying the soft computing techniques. Okay. So there I was actually discussing something. There is some non-differentiable equations. So if you represent this particular part, so this particular part we have the function is discontinuous. So if you want to calculate what should be the derivative at this particular point, the derivative will not exist at this particular point. Okay. So there are some problems where this particular situation will arise, and those cases we need to take help of the soft computing applications. Okay. So basically there are so many applications of soft computing techniques in electrical engineering. Okay. So basically that's why there are some problems are there. So those problems are overcome with the help of these soft computing techniques. Now here basically this is the input output characteristic. If let us say there are n number of valves are there, I will show you what will be the nature of the curve. If there are n number of curves, let us say n number of your valves are there. So in that case, the nature of the curve will be something like this. Okay, these are the point of discontinuity. These are the point of discontinuity because of the repeated valve operation. That basically there will be discontinuity will be created. This side is your output, and this side will be your input. Got it? But normally, when we'll deal your problem in the economic operation of the power system, we'll assume there are only single valve. So the nature of the characteristic will be something a linear one. But if you consider a multiple number of valves, that time the function will be discontinuous. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll come to the generating cost at the thermal power plant. So let us consider there are any ith plant among the n thermal plants. So let us say n number of thermal plants are there, and out of that we are considering the ith plant. Okay. Any plant we are considering. Now let us say C1 is the cost per unit of P1 in the neighborhood of P1. So for example, the C1 is the cost per unit. Okay, per unit cost of the P1. P1 means, let us say P1 is the any power station. It has some capacity. Let us say 200 megawatt capacity. Now the per unit cost of that particular power plant is C1. Okay, per megawatt cost is C1, and P1 is the generating capacity. So total cost will be how much? That will be C1 into P1. Yes or no? If the per unit cost of that particular plant is, per unit cost is what? C1 is the, let us say, that is the C1 is per unit cost of P1. Per unit cost means what? It is rupees per megawatt. So 1 megawatt to generate 1 megawatt power, what is the cost? Now, if let us say P1 is the capacity of that particular power plant, and that is in megawatt. So the total cost of this particular plant 1, this is the plant 1. You have n number of plants are there. So what will be that? This is the C1 is the cost per unit into the total generating capacity. So this will be C1 into P1. Similarly, if let us say you have a F2, second plant, that C2 is the per unit cost of that plant and capacity is P2. So it will be C2 into P2. Similarly, F3, for third plant, it will be C3 into P3. F4, it will be C4 into P4. And like that, it will continue up to nth plant, that is Cn into Pn. So if we add all these components, so C equal to, rather I will say Ci. So this will be summation of Ci, I equal to 1 to n. So this will be basically summation of all these three, all these component up to nth component. Yes or no? So this will be, let us say this will be Fi. This is Fi, F total cost. So Fi will be this, we can write I equal to 1 to N. This will be Ci into Pi. Yes or no? Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just check here. So this is for the total cost of operating a system with ng number of generators. So I equal to 1 to ng. This will be Ci into Pi. So that means this is the total. And there are ng number of power plants are there. So you have to add all those things. So this will be I equal to 1 to ng. This will be Ci into Pi. So if the system operates over a time period T, then the total expenses will be, you have to integrate between that 0 to T, that is the whole time period. You have to integrate that. So 0 to T, summation of I equal to 1 to ng Ci Pi into dt. Now the steam plants with partial admission nozzle governing give better performance at partial loads is the cost coefficient increases with increasing megawatt loading. So you have to understand that why we should operate these valves. So partial admission of the nozzle governing, nozzle is the basically it is there in the your steam valve. So if we have a better control over the partial opening, or let us say control over the opening of the nozzle, so what will happen? That will give you a more efficient system, because ultimately you are controlling the steam. Ultimately, if you are controlling the steam, then that will ultimately affect your cost of operation. However, such units cannot be shut down frequently because of the complexity of the steam chest. So you have to understand one thing, that you cannot start any power plant within a second, and you cannot shut down any thermal unit within a second. So it requires some time. Okay, any thermal power plant, if at all it has to be started, it requires some startup time, and if any power station it has to be shut down, so it requires also some time. So there is some startup time and there is some shutdown time. Those time period has to be considered if you are operating any power system. So, but steam plants with throttle governing are more suitable for periodic shutdown due to their simple steam chest. There is nowadays this is a throttle governing systems are available. So those systems are giving more, at least the quicker operation, but that will not be a very faster, but it requires also some time. But comparatively, the startup and shutdown time is less if we operate with the throttle governing system. Such units are more suitable for rapid starting and loading. From minimum to maximum permissible limit of operation, the cost coefficient of the units are substantially constant. So we will understand that there are cost coefficient of the units. So how those cost coefficients are actually considered, so we'll see in the next topic. Okay. So prior to that, I will show you your attendance. Okay, because I have to show you a QR code. I will stop sharing this thing. Now QR code is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please put your attendance. Okay, is it over?
Over, sir.
All of you have given your attendance. Okay, fine. I'll stop share this thing. So any doubt? Anyone? You have any doubt? Whatever we have discussed?
No, sir.
Okay. And I think Anil sir, he is discussing the per unit system, na? The first topic.
No, sir.
He's discussing which one?
Load analysis.
Load flow analysis.
Yes, sir.
Load flow analysis. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So your first internal test, that particular notice you have got it, na? First internal.
Yes, sir.
So your first internal, this fault analysis will be there. Okay, that is sure. Okay, and maybe some part of the economic operation of the power system. Okay, so whatever we'll cover prior to the class test. Okay, so please study your whatever things are there, and it will be objective type. And one more thing, you have got the notice for the continuous evaluation system in the laboratory. Na? Continuous evaluation system for laboratory.
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
Fine. Fine. I think your HOD will circulate. Okay, no issue. So thank you all. We'll meet in the next class. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll close this meeting.